Hey everyone, happy Veterans Day for my fellow vets. Happy 11/11 for my spiritual family. Um, Today's one of those cool days. It's got a little something for everybody, I guess, and we all get the day off from work, so that's nice for most of us. Um, so today I'm going to talk about something I covered before. This idea that sometimes we get on our journey, on our path in life, we get kind of stuck in a cul-de-sac when we, you know, follow somebody who is preaching something, teaching something, whatever, that kind of, gives this idea that they've arrived, that they've reached the destination, and we buy into that, and we end up in that cul-de-sac with them, um, as opposed to continuing on our journey. And that's the thing, is this life is really not about a destination. This world being here isn't really about any sort of destination. I mean, we definitely have stops along the way, you know what I mean? But it's supposed to be a journey. It's supposed to continue. It's supposed to, you know, it's always ongoing. We never really are supposed to fully arrive. We're always supposed to keep learning. But a lot of these systems, a lot of these institutions, they preach something different. They preach something that's, religion being an obvious one. They talk about whatever their system is. It's very controlling. It's not supposed to really. It sells the idea that it's you're growing and you're receiving enlightenment, but the reality is it kind of blocks those, because it's you're stopping at a place. You're not continuing on. You're just arriving in that place, and you stay in that place, and maybe you grow a little bit in that space, but it's nothing compared to the growth that you could be doing if you weren't stuck there. So religion is an obvious one. I think, they talk about whichever religion you're talking about. They're selling this idea that if you just follow these doctrines, if you do these things, if you pray to, a certain way, that's what you're supposed to do. But the reality is that, that really puts the control of accessing God, accessing the universe, accessing whatever it is, in somebody else's hands. It's not. God's found inside of us. God's found out in nature. God's found when you meditate and when you create. When you sing, when you listen to music, when you do art, innovate. When you create something new. Those are all places that you can find God. Those are all places that you can continue to grow. But we go and we join these churches, we join these organizations, we join these things, spiritual or otherwise, that, just kind of lock us into place. We're stuck in a cul-de-sac. And, some of those places are not bad places, but it's not supposed to be a destination. It's supposed to be a journey. And so what ends up happening is these people, these systems, these institutions end up kind of serving as gatekeepers. They tell us where to find God, and as opposed to us being out there looking for him ourselves. But religions aren't the only one. I mean, there's plenty of gatekeepers out there in society. I mean, you see it especially these days when so much of the money, so much of the resources is kind of consolidated into just a few people's hands, right? So they get to decide, what is righteous, what's virtuous, what isn't, as opposed to all of us doing that. Collectively, as we raise our vibration, as we create and maybe some things don't really jibe with the current system, but maybe they're not supposed to, you know what I mean? I always think about the show Shark Tank, it's like these people with money, they get to decide what's valid and what isn't. I mean, who made them God? Sure he didn't. So there's gatekeepers everywhere, from religion to society to, just everywhere. And each one of those is basically a cul-de-sac that just pulls us off our path of, growth, innovating, creating, all the things that we can do, that the universe, that God wants us to do. That's the reason we're here. You know what I mean? And then you get into stuff like now you have AI, right? And that's like the ultimate impediment to growth, to enlightenment. It's not. It just stifles creativity. And it takes from artists. It takes from people who have already created something, and it takes their creation and kind of locks it into place, right? So as it learns or whatever it does, it's learning from a spot that humanity has reached a certain point, right? And AI is building off that point. But that is, I mean, does anyone really feel like like humanity has reached like our maximum potential, like that mankind has like achieved what we're supposed to achieve, like this is the end, and now we just hand it over to the machines? Um, it's just perverted, because it these kids in school, they're using AI and instead of like using their brains, right? People are using AI instead of using their intuition. And those are the things that God gave you. Those are the things that connect you to God. When you use your head, when you use your heart, when you use your intuition, that's how you move along your path, right? That's how we keep moving. AI is like the ultimate gatekeeper. It's designed to keep us stuck. It is designed to make us not grow, to keep us from being enlightened. So these other gatekeepers, religion, society, the people with the money, that's bad enough, but AI is worse. And it's just really, it's the opposite of what we should be doing right now. We need to be growing ourselves. We need to be out in nature, meditating, creating, doing those things that make you feel good, that make you feel better, that make you grow. And as you grow, your vibration rises. You go further along that path. And as all of our vibrations rise, that's how we grow. That's how we gain enlightenment. That's how we move humanity, move mankind forward. AI is designed to do the exact opposite, and that's by design. All of this is by design. These are people who want control, right? They want all of these systems are about control. God has found God, the universe, all this stuff is out there for free. You can access it for free. But religion packages it up, and sells it to you, right? Government, these systems, they package it up and tell you what you should want, what you should do, and then they trap you on these jobs where you can't get out. You have no time to create. You have no time to do the things that you want to do for yourself that feed your soul, right? You're stuck in this loop of like trying to provide. You're stuck in this really base level existence, and a lot of us just get stuck there, and you don't ever progress. And even people who maybe find the time somehow, in spite of all that, to create, to build, they still run into the gatekeepers, whether it's spiritual or the money. People with the money saying, no, that doesn't fit the society that we want, that we've built. But is that the society all of us want? All of us, that want to build? I feel like that's just a really narrow sliver. Yet they control everything, so they gatekeep it. So we have these gatekeepers, and and they just control it all. And then AI is designed to just kind of cement that into place, where like this low vibration space that we're at is this where we're going to be stuck at. And then you have government, which is like completely captured by all this stuff, and media the same. You see this. I mean, you see all these things that come out, like these ideas that these tech companies come up with, and these are the people largely doing the gatekeeping right now, right? And you see these ideas they come up with, whether it be cryptocurrency, whether it be selling your personal information, like it's a commodity, like your information, they sell it. Like, how the hell is that okay? And now AI, and every time it seems like government's response is, oh, well, they're already doing it, and there's there's just nothing we can do about it, so I guess we're just gonna let it happen, and what the hell do you even exist for if that's your attitude? We should be able to put we should be able to have some say over these things, but it's like they want to convince us that we don't. That, oh, it's just out there. We've already sold your information. Nothing you can do about it. Like, oh, AI is already out there. It's just putting artists out of work. And turning out this plagiarized slop that keeps everyone's vibration really low. What can we do about it? Well, we can do a lot about it. Individually, we can get out there and connect with God individually, raise our own vibration. But we can do more, I think, on a societal level too. That's something for another day. But yeah, this is more about like what we can do individually. But I definitely think there are things we can do to address some of the bigger problems as well. But yeah, I think what we can do individually, though, what you can focus on just in the short term, the things that are within your control right now. I think there's a lot more that's in our control than we realize. And as the days, months, years come along here, I think more and more people are going to understand that and act on that. But in the meantime, you can get out. You can touch grass. You can get out in nature. You can meditate. You can do these things. Create. Whatever feeds your soul. But get out and find God, not in a building, not in a system, not in an institution, not from some gatekeeper, but in here and out here. And don't get stuck in some cul-de-sac that anyone wants to pull you into. You want to keep on that journey, because life is a journey. It's not a destination. This world is not supposed to be a destination. We don't ever really arrive. That's the thing these people sell us, whether it's spiritual or economic. It's like, oh, this is the mountaintop. This is like we've arrived. I think people will get the idea that they grow to a certain point, and then it's like, oh, I've arrived. Now I can share that with everyone. And it's cool that people share, and I mean, we should share with each other, but it should never be buying into someone else's program. You know what I mean? You want to look at the through line through all of these programs, all these religions, all the things that are out there, spiritually, societally, whatever it is. You want to look for that through line, that thing that kind of connects all those things, that common theme. That's the voice that we should be listening to, not the little individual programs, not the dogma, not the whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, we want to look for the common theme, the thing that connects all of those things. And we definitely need to get rid of AI, because that stuff is, I mean, maybe it's a useful tool in some aspects, but like I said, it's just the attitude right now is, oh, it's here, it's just taken over. What can we do? We've created a monster. Oh, our bad. Can't help anything now. It's like, no, we can actually have a lot of power to address that. We're just constantly being told that we don't. We're constantly being convinced that we don't. We're being pointed, all the fingers are pointing in every direction but the problem. We're left versus right, capitalist versus socialist, Christian versus Muslim, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's all meant to divide. It's all meant to keep us from focusing on the real problem, these gatekeepers who are dragging us into these cul-de-sacs in all these different ways and keeping us off of our road to growth, to enlightenment. These things that they're purporting to sell, when in fact they're blocking us from achieving these things. So that's the message for today, is that, don't buy into these institutions, don't buy into these systems. I mean, again, you can participate, but look for the underlying message and take that with you. Don't get stuck in that cul-de-sac. Grab that message and then get back on your journey, and get out on the road and find your own path to wherever it is you want to go, and keep walking it. There's stops along the way. Absolutely. You gather information, you learn some things. Sometimes you got to heal, the darkness within inside of us, where, some of those lower vibration things, the jealousy, the greed, the envy, those things that keep us from rising, right? You have to look at those. You have to look at the ways that you've, done things that hurt you, that hurt others, take accountability, learn, grow. And by doing those things, that's how you keep moving up your path. That's how you keep raising your vibration. As we raise our vibration, we start to heal ourselves. And as you heal ourselves, we can start to heal others. And as more of us kind of come together and our vibration rises, that's when we can start to heal the world. That's when we can start to get out into nature and fix these things that this technology, all this stuff, these gatekeepers have created, is destroying, the things that actually sustain us. You know, yeah, because right now we're on a path to destruction. We're on a path to, I mean, there are literally movies about this. You know what I mean? Like, you don't shouldn't have to look too far to figure out what's going on. It's kind of spelled out for you in many, many different ways. So, do we continue on that path? Do we just lock ourselves into a cul-de-sac that, you know, leads us to not growing, to not being enlightened, and, you know, destroying the world around us? Or do we stay on that path? Do we just stop in, gather the information that we need, and move on, keep growing, raise our vibration, and fix the world that is around us, that sustains us? That's the choice we have, and that's something each of us can do individually right now. You know, the system-wide stuff, some of that stuff, you know, that's going to take a little more time, a little more, you know, planning, but it's going to be a lot easier if a lot of people are out here doing individual work first. So when we do start to tackle these systems, start to fix that stuff, we have a lot of people who are already kind of raised themselves up a little bit vibrationally for people to see, you know, and for people to, you know, examples for people to follow. And it's just, that's how we grow as individuals and as a society and as a species, you know. So that's the message for today. So get out there and do your own growth, you know, find your own path to God. Don't get sucked into a cul-de-sac by some gatekeeper. Get out and find your own path and do your own work. And, you know, and then when it's time for us to work collectively to fix these bigger things, you'll be ready. We'll all be ready. And there'll be people that, you know, who are out there, you know, leading by example and showing people the way. And it'll be a lot easier to fix these bigger systems if we're doing that. So that's the message for today. I hope you guys all have a great day off. Thanks for listening. And I'll be back soon with some other messages that talk about these bigger system solutions, maybe. But, you know, right now we all can do something. We can all get out and just improve ourselves. So let's all go do that. Have an awesome day. Love y'all.